A man is describing losing his home in California, but he mentioned something, and I just so happen to have it planned. I wasn't going to include this in a part of the show today. But he mentioned something that just caught my ear. And I thought that I'd give y'all a little bit of insight based off of my research and why I always lean to insurance companies to figure out whether or not I want to invest in a particular area. Make sure you guys hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let's rock.
All right, so many stories of homes lost during this wildfire tragedy. What you're seeing here is the destruction of James Barrow's Pacific Palisades home, moment by moment. This is all captured by the camera in his Tesla. Now, James Barrow, we connected on social media. I invited him to come on to the show tonight to talk about this because you have quite the story. Let's just start with, obviously, we're so sorry that this has happened to you, and basically all of your friends in Pacific Palisades have lost their home as well. You told me that earlier preparing for tonight's interview. Talk to us about your own experience. What was that like, seeing your home burn, and you must have felt so helpless?
Yeah, well, thank you for having me on here. And yeah, I mean, it was surreal. It was the entire day was just a really hard to explain day. It started, at 10:30. My wife had called me in, seen smoke, and she went ahead and called the schools, got our kids out of school. I was at a conference in Las Vegas. I was at CES for work, and we had no communication at all from the government, like no idea. And honestly, it appeared as if this was not even remotely a possibility this would happen to us. And then throughout the day, it just got more serious and serious. And it was all through friends on text and WhatsApp. No communication was given to us. And then finally, I left the conference. I went to the airport to try to get a flight home. And a friend texted me and said on TV, "This looks really bad." And he said, "Check your Tesla." So I pulled up the cameras. And literally at that moment, the fire had jumped from the neighbor's house to the side yard to the garage to the rest of the house. I watched it burn down. And within an hour, it was down to the ground.
And I seen a lot of y'all Californians. Yep, I was in Vegas. I seen a lot of y'all over there at CES. Then y'all was having a good time. Party. They would go to CES in the daytime and they would be out there party in the nighttime. Hundreds of thousands of people were at CES, a lot of them coming straight from California because California is only a few hours away, right up the street, right down the street, Los Angeles, right up the street. They was over there partying at CES. And their wife and their kids was at the crib. Oh my God, it's a fire coming to burn everything down. That was what was happening. Let's continue.
And the entire time, there was no fire trucks. There's nothing that came. And when we live 3 blocks from the fire station.
Let's show the viewers that, because we have a picture of your home, what it was before. So if our director can pull that up. So here's what it was. You live there with your wife, and you have a 3-year-old, you have a 5-year-old. Thank goodness you all are safe and okay tonight.
That is $1 million home in California. You see that house right there? You see that house right there? That is $1 million home over there in California. No cap. $1 million home over there in California. Probably costs no more than $80,000 to $90,000, including plumbing and everything like that, to build it anywhere else inside of the United States of America. But there in California, because you guys are paying for great weather, that is probably $1 million home over there in California.
But then you provided a map that shows, and it's 3 blocks away is what you count between your house and the nearest fire station in the Pacific Palisades. And you say you didn't have any firefighters show up. And I know this is you're very much pro firefighters. This is not a knock on them necessarily, but you certainly felt abandoned.
Yeah, and the irony of all this is I still can actually access my camera from my car. I have not been to the house yet, but I can still look at it remotely. And
I said 2.5 million. 2.5 million.
There was no emergency response there for 24 hours. So it was just a total failure, kind of in every kind of step of the way that I can at least see. And unfortunately, I had to see it with my own eyes. And the part that just upsets me the most, to be totally candid about it, is, and I think I mentioned this to you, but my insurance got dropped by a State Farm. I got put on the FAIR plan. That alone is frustrating. But the city knew that State Farm had dropped all of us. So there were like 1,600 of us who lost our insurance over the last 6 months. And the city apparently didn't take that as us being in a form of elevated risk. And so the fact that the fire hydrants didn't have water pressure or the reservoir filled, whatever it might be, I went ahead and paid a 400% increase on my insurance to protect my family. The city did nothing to protect us.
Let me stop for a second. I want you guys to hear what he said. On the surface, it looks like he just said some random, normal, everyday stuff. Oh, my insurance company, they had already told us that they was going to drop us. This was a part of shows that we did over 2 years ago. But let me break something down for you guys. Let's back up for a minute. Let's back up.
The city knew that State Farm really can't 24 hours. So it was just a total failure, kind of in every kind of step of the way that I can at least see. And unfortunately, I had to see it with my own eyes. And the part that just upsets me the most, to be totally candid about it, is, and I think I mentioned this to you, but my insurance got dropped by a State Farm. I got put on the FAIR plan. That alone is frustrating. But the city.
Okay, so he's going to go over and say the city knew. Why weren't they prepared? Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so in California, they have what's called, for short, it's called a FAIR plan. Let me give you all the big screen so we can talk about this, all right? They have what's called the FAIR plan. And in the FAIR plan in California, it's basically state-sponsored homeowners insurance that is to give you more confidence and to allow for you to have comfort in the fact that if anything happens with your home, you have homeowners insurance and you don't have to worry because you're protected. Fair enough, right? They do the same thing in Florida, right? In Florida, insurance companies are fleeing. They are running for the hills. So what Florida has done is they have state-sponsored homeowners insurance because the insurance companies know better. So first of all, stop blaming the insurance companies because the insurance companies are for-profit organizations. If you did not know this, I am telling you now, a for-profit organization owes you nothing. They owe you what you signed up for. So if you have insurance from them, then that's one conversation. But do not get mad because last year or the year before they decided to drop you. I told you that they was dropping you. And it's the reason why they leave in the state because the costs would be catastrophic if they stayed insuring you. They are not in the business of losing money. It reminds me of people that believe that you are supposed to automatically get approved just because you have a decent credit score. Nope, they take every factor into consideration. And the reason that they do that is because they have to make sure that they're lending to a person that is going to pay them on time to ensure that they make the money off the interest. They are looking to figure out whether or not you can afford it, not just whether or not you have a high credit score. They look at every factor. They have to take everything into consideration. And if you are a subprime lender, meaning that you have any one of these factors that's lower than the normal, then they're taking on more risk, which means that they're going to charge you more interest and try to make way more money on the front end and front load it so that they don't take a loss. These are businesses. These are for-profit organizations. They are not in the business of helping you to rebuild your home. They're in the business of taking a chance that your home doesn't burn down so that they can then take the money and then keep it as profit, okay? And it's a pool of money, and then a little bit of people over here, y'all got some problems. Okay, we're going to take care of y'all homes with the whole pool of money that y'all all putting together. It's like a Ponzi scheme, okay? So now that you understand how insurance works, let me tell you what the real finesse is. Y'all ready? All right. So this is the real finesse. California, Florida, and several other states are losing insurance companies, okay? When they lose insurance companies, the states and the legislators don't want people to flee the state because they're taking on more risk, knowing that it's a possibility that your home can get flooded, hurricanes, forest fires, whatever it is, right? So what they need is they need the consumers to continue to pay property taxes. Well, how do you do that? You have to give them some confidence. You have to give them an alternative. You can't get private insurance companies or publicly traded insurance companies to feed into what it is that you got because they know better. You the fool, you keep building on it, you keep spending $2 million over there, they know better, right? I follow the trends, I follow the money. That's why this is called the Millionaire Morning Show. But here's the flip side of it, right? Them giving you the confidence doesn't necessarily mean that the state have the ability to feed and rebuild your home with the insurance claims, because the state is not necessarily for profit. It's funded by who? The taxpayers. Let me say it again for the people in the back. The state is funded by the taxpayers, meaning that when you guys pay these egregious amount of taxes, it's supposed to go towards whatever it is that you signed up or voted for, because you're voting in legislators to work on your behalf, not just from a diversity, equity, and inclusion perspective, but also from a business perspective. Infrastructure, preventative maintenance, homeowners insurance, whatever it is that they subsidize in your state, each state operate like its own country. That's what it's for. But here's the finesse. Have you guys recently seen and heard Gavin Newsom call the federal government, call Biden, begging Trump and saying, hey, listen, guys, we have catastrophic damage over here. We're going to have to rebuild. We need to rebuild in 2 years. You guys told us that we would be able to have the 2028 Olympics here. We got so many major events happening here. How will we be able to do that if we don't get federal resources to do so? Guess who funds the federal government? Guess who don't live in California? So now, because the state don't have the resources committed, even though they're subsidizing the homeowners insurance, every last one of us are going to be on the hook for paying for Californians to rebuild their home. And then they frame it like, hey, it's the federal government. We are the ones that feed the federal government. So even though we may be mad at Ukraine, or even though we may be mad at Taiwan, or even though we don't want to fund these proxy wars, they'll say, hey, listen, stop funding that and then take care of the people over here in California. Well, the legislators in California knew that they wasn't going to be able to pay for them to rebuild their homes. And so then they get all of these platforms like The View and CNN and MSNBC to say, hey, guys, don't focus on who's accountable right now. We need to band together to make sure that the American people is taken care of and Californians can go over there and rebuild their homes. What they're really saying is, hey, everybody, even though y'all don't pay taxes in California, y'all pay taxes in California. Y'all got to subsidize these people doing and making bad decisions as far as who they elected, where they chose to build, and the fact that they knew that it was forest fires over there, but you still going to have to pour into the federal government and make sure that you give them $30 billion, $40 billion to start, another $200 billion in order to build their homes, because they knew that they was never supposed to be there in the first place, and they should have been following the insurance companies the same way that we are over here on the Millionaire Morning Show. That's the finesse. That's why we do what we do over here at the Millionaire Morning Show. That's the finesse. That's why we do what we do over here on the Millionaire Morning Show, because we're not limited in what we can have a conversation about. We're going to tell you the truth. I'm going to give it to you straight. No filter, no chaser. Californians are basically subsidizing their bad homes, their $10 million, $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, $20 million, $30 million homes in order to build these smart cities, these fast cities, these 15-minute cities, removing regulation all of a sudden in order to make sure that Gavin Newsom can rebuild and then rebuild his image at the same time while he's running for president of the United States of America. And I'm supposed to just sit here like, oh, I don't know nothing. No, I know everything. I'm paying attention. When you pay your federal taxes, you are basically subsidizing their inability to insure themselves, because California is operating at a budget deficit. They knew that all of this stuff was going to happen. And all they're going to do is lean into the federal government and say, hey, You guys got to help us. We don't have time to be sitting here who's accountable and who's wrong. We got to make sure that we help the American people, because it's going to be a person that's sitting there with their dogs and their memorabilia. And oh my God, Kim lost all of our Social Security certificates. Why are they only giving us $750? Reality check, y'all. You are the ones that are on the hook for them making bad decisions and electing blue leadership that couldn't prevent them homes from burning down. And you the one that's going to be on the hook for it, because they always going to lean back on the federal government and say, you can't abandon us. You can't abandon us now. We are American people. That's the play. That's the play. Now you know. Boston Bob says, Anton, I'm calling it right now. It costs $1 trillion to rebuild. And who you think it's going to come from? The only people that should be on the hook for rebuilding California is California. Not me, not Monique, not Potential Grounds LLC, not B. Thomas, not G, not Chuck, not Patsy, not DJ Ace Productions, not I'm Cute Forever, not Twisted Logic, not Walk on Wood, and not Will Nola, because we told these idiots over there that they need to get these people out of office. But guess what? They voted the way that they wanted to vote anyway, and now we on the hook for it. And you're going to potentially see Kamala Harris overseeing the finishing version of this when she runs for governor in 2026. I'm calling it now. Now, when I replay this, it's going to hit different, ain't it? When you hear him say this, it's going to hit a little bit different. Y'all ain't hit a like for the algorithm? I'm over here cooking with fish grease, and y'all ain't hit a like for the algorithm. You ain't subscribed yet? You ain't subscribed yet. You ain't tapped into the Patreon. Link is in the description, as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Don't worry about it. We going to get you there. We going to get you there.
Upsets me the most, to be totally candid about it, is, and I think I mentioned this to you, but my insurance got dropped by State Farm. I got put in the FAIR plan. That alone is frustrating. But the city knew that State Farm had dropped all of us. So there were like 1,600 of us who lost our insurance over the last 6 months, and the city apparently didn't take that as us being in a form of elevated risk. And so the fact that the fire hydrants didn't have water pressure or the reservoir filled, whatever.
The fire hydrants didn't have water pressure. Hit a little different, don't it? Now it's a little different.
It might be, I would have had and paid a 400% increase on my insurance to protect my family. The city did nothing to protect us. And that's where it's just unbelievable. And yeah.
It's hard to even, comprehend and process all of this. What's next for you and your family?
We rented a house. We were fortunate. I mean, the bright side, because I watched it burn, I was able to get I knew my house was gone before a lot of people. So we were able to plan a little earlier. We've had an amazing support system. And so we'll be okay. Everyone's healthy. Everyone's safe. But, as I mentioned earlier, every single friend I have, 30 friends have lost their homes. My 5-year-old school is burned down. My 3-year-old's preschool is burned down. The place they went to gymnastics is burned down. The place they had art classes, the place they did music class, the library, like every single thing is gone.